Welcome to the season finale here in the Salt Lake City Swarm franchise. We're 57-67, and you know what? We are having the best season of our series here, and I think that we have a pretty good shot at least moving up in the standings, and that's kind of going to be our goal coming into the final stretch of this season. We are 10 games below 500, but we have some very, very good things about this season. First, we have a really good rookie and probably rookie of the year in Terrance Madlock. He will try to lock that up this episode. We had a first-year starter in right field with Luis Lara, 22 years old. He's hitting .256. He's improving and getting better, acclimated to the major leagues. Ryan O'Hearn continues to be one of those leaders on the offensive side of things, and I think that he's going to be probably a candidate to get an extension going into the offseason. But we do have an issue. Our middle infielders are not hitting that great, and Ahmed Rosario is hitting free agency, so I have no idea how much he will command, but it's definitely a concern going into next season. Now, so far this year, we have had a pretty good stretch of runs where we have won quite a few games, but then we go on these like cold streaks right here to start the month of August where we lose 8 straight games. And that is kind of like the growing pains of a young organization. But I think we have some good pieces in place to at least compete in the future of this franchise. We do break the losing streak right here with a win where Estaban Calzado was on the mound. And if you're new to the series, Calzado was our first pick in this entire series. He was drafted in the first round, and he is now making his MLB debut this season. And he's facing MLB pitching, and he's actually not doing too bad. But I do want to highlight some guys coming down the home stretch of the season. Maybe we are too far out to even try to compete with the NL wild card, but I at least want to try here. We are 12 games below 500 as we start this game, and another young pitcher is on the mound for us in Johnnie Hood. Now, Hood is interesting because when we started this series, he was the #1 overall prospect. And now after 2 full seasons, now we're in season 3, he's been moved up, and he's actually been really, really competitive. And he's got a low ERA, a pretty below average whip. I would say above average, I guess, if you look at it that way. But he's been actually really, really good for us this season. But here is the man of the hour, the rookie of the year candidate in Terrance Madlock. He hits one hard to the right side to start this game out, but it's an easy double play. But, you know, the good sign about things like that is that he hits the ball extremely hard. If we can get everybody on the roster to hit the ball hard, I mean, that's going to go a long way. Eventually, those are going to get through, you know. So here we are facing the Cincinnati Reds on the road, and I just want to see what Johnnie Hood can do today. So after giving up a couple of base runners earlier, this one's hit to right field by Ivan Herrera, and it bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. They call it an automatic double now. 27th of the year for Herrera, but it's 1-0. So still no outs in this inning. Here is Luke Raley at the plate. He is watching that one for a called strike 3. Adalis Garcia, he swings at one inside as well. And that brings up Jaime Candelario to the plate, and he swings at one low out of the zone. A good splitter fools the hitter at the plate. And after all that, only allows 1 run in that first inning. Here is Madlock back to the plate here in the top of the 4th inning. And Madlock just absolutely tattoos that pitch down the right field line. It's fair. And that was an outside pitch. If you want to see a sign of a good hitter, do something with bad pitches and bad timings on his swing, and you see something like that, I mean, Madlock's going to be a bona fide star. Here is Ryan O'Hearn to the plate following him up, and he is playing for a contract extension as well. 430 to dead center for Ryan O'Hearn, and that ball was crushed. And like I said, one of the priorities going into the offseason is definitely going to be to bring Ryan O'Hearn back. Here is Keeper Rodriguez to the plate, who's been struggling this year, hitting .159. He swings at one in the dirt, but the throw from the catcher gets over the first baseman's head and allows us to get another run across the plate to give us a 3-1 lead here in the 4th inning. Not something you see every day right there. So we do continue to go through these innings, and what I like to do this year in MLB The Show, which I've kind of figured out a sweet spot, is not to play every game fully. but really embrace, the quick manage. But here in the 5th inning, we do give up a 3-run home run as Johnny Hood has to get pulled after that one, giving up 5 earned runs. But now we hop into the later inning action here as we do hop into the top of the 9th. Here is Justin Thompson Jr. down by 2 runs here in the 9th and looking to spark a little comeback here with 0 outs in this inning. But Thompson Jr. hits a chopper to first, easy double play here for the defense. And now we are down to our last hitter. It's Weston Wilson, also one of those veterans on this roster, swings at a terrible pitch. And we end up losing the first game of this episode. But one thing I love to see, even though we lost, Terrance Madlock just continues to add to that resume for Rookie of the Year. He goes 1 for 3. But I like to see what he's doing at the plate every single time. No matter who we're focusing on, he's just such a fun player to play with. As you can see, he's hitting like 356 over the last handful of games. I mean, he's absolutely crushing the ball. But I do want to focus on Estaban Calzado, who I highlighted earlier. You see his last starts here, 6, almost a 2 ERA and almost a 1 whip. I mean, he is really figuring it out late, and that's kind of what you would hope from your rookies. As they get some experience, they really start to play better. So here is Madlock again at the plate, and every time you see a Madlock plate appearance, it's probably going to be something good. So here he's facing Bryce Miller on the mound, and he just tees it up in the 1st inning. Deep to right field, a no-doubt home run. Madlock again. I mean, the guy is just on fire this season in the second half. Probably should have been an all-star, to be honest, if we're really being honest with, what our team was looking like at the all-star break. He was probably our best hitter going in. But here is Julio Rodriguez in the 1st inning now with a 1-0 lead for our young 19-year-old pitcher Estaban Calzado on the mound, and that's the first out of the inning. So that brings up Isaiah Falafa at the plate. He will fly out to right field as well. 2 up, 2 down as it brings up Kyle Tucker, who signed a free agent deal with the Mariners. He swings and misses at an outside fastball. And a nice 1-2-3 inning from our 19-year-old pitcher. He ends up actually going pretty late in this ball game. You see he's still in the 7th inning. We do go to Trent Thornton in the 8th. And then going into the 9th, Mariano Castro comes in for the save. And we end up winning this game 1-0. Those games are actually pretty funny because we only had 3 hits. They had 9 hits, and we win 1-0. A pretty funny outcome in that. But those are games we could not win in the past. So I'm actually happy to get wins like that. Well, we get through the month of August, and you can just see it's just kind of up and down at this point. We are 14 games under 500. But what I really want to focus on is our young players and really what we're looking like going into Season 4, because Season 4 is a very pivotal point in this series because we really do want to compete for a playoff spot next year. So here is Luis Lara, 23 years old, outfielder, 22 I should say actually, outfielder getting his first full year at the majors, but he's been playing really well this year. This time he hits one up the middle after a 2-home-run game, gets robbed of a base hit right there. But we do end up winning this game 8-7 as Calzado gets another win versus the Pirates this time. 11 hits though. You see these games where we do stuff the box score, multi-hit games from Lara, Myers, Justin Thompson Jr., and I just really like the progression of how these guys are playing. So we get to the month of September here as we near the September call-ups, and that's really what I want to get into here through the meat of this episode. We do end up splitting with the Dodgers to end the month, and now we start the month of September, and let's just take a look at the standings. We are 13 games below 500. We are pretty much behind in the wild card by a significant margin at this point. So I'm really going to start to play some young guys going down the stretch and really emphasize that and maybe resting the veterans a little bit as, they get prepared for next season inevitably. Terrance Madlock leads us in average at this point, hitting .285. He is having an amazing rookie year. Ben Rice is having a good year, 24 home runs. He's only had 2 since the All-Star break at this point, but he is only hitting .214. Like, the consistency is the issue with Ben Rice. It's not necessarily, his slugging. It's just can he hit at least 240, 250? I will take that at this point, but 220, I just can't take that again. Elijah Vaughn has actually played pretty well. We moved him up closer to the month of June, and he's got 4 quality starts. He is one of the few lefties in this organization right now that could be an MLB level starter. So that could be maybe a target in the offseason as well. We do have some young guys in our minor league system who we do want to move up at this point. Dan Stoddard was our 3rd round pick back in season 1. And the progression is actually really nice. He started out as a 50, I believe, 7 overall, and now he's at 66, 9 overall points in 2 seasons. So I think that he needs 1 more year, even 2 more years. Even if he gets 2 more years in the minors, he's going to be 21 when he's ready for the majors. That's actually really good progression by him. So I've liked his progression, but I do want to get him some big league at bat. So we're going to move him up. This will obviously boost his salary since he will have MLB service time. I'm hoping that it won't hurt his growth, though, because next year he's not going to be the starting infielder either at second or short. I'm really just getting him some big league experience right now, and then he'll be able to play a full year again next year, and he'll probably be a September call-up once again next year also, just to get him that experience every single season. So here we go. We will enter the month of September facing one of our, I wouldn't say rivals yet, because we haven't really figured out who our real rival is. It's supposed to be the Diamondbacks, but really what I want to do is really figure out which young guys are going to be ready to contribute in this series sooner rather than later. And one guy I want to look at here is Dan Stoddard, and one thing that he does do well, a pretty good fielder, and he is showing some decent potential with his bat this year. So really what I do value is that steady, that steady progress, that improvement. That's definitely something that I do value because that tells me that you're going to get better throughout time. A lot of guys that you draft end up, not even improving. Maybe they get naturally better just because their potential is high. But the ones you really, really value is guys that have the high potential and then are also performing well. Those are the guys that are going to be really good players in, franchise mode. And those are the kind of the guys that I do value the most. So here's Ben Rice to the plate. Facing Angel Shavili on the mound here. Bases loaded. Bottom of the 10th. 2 outs. He gets one over the middle of the plate. This one is gone. A walk-off for Ben Rice, and it's not an issue with his bat. It's just the consistency. And as you can see right here, coming through with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th inning. And facing a Rockies team who is kind of reeling at this point. They finished last year in the division. They will finish last again this season. We haven't finished last since season 1. At some point last year, I thought the Rockies really turned the corner, but that didn't seem to be a realistic thing. One guy we did acquire at the deadline as well is Roosevelt Matson. I decided to move him up just to get to him some at-bats, just to see what he can do. To me, he is just kind of a depth outfielder. But I do want to get him experience when I can because I do want him to be able to be moved up when we do need an outfielder to kind of fill in case of injury or something like that. Like those are guys that are valuable as well, especially for championship teams. Those teams are always, making sure to look after depth, not just going after the stars. And that's one thing that I want to build as well. Get some young guys who will eventually be fringe minor leaguers or major leaguers, I should say. So here we are facing the Diamondbacks here, top 9 with Weston Wilson with a chance to tie the ball game up, and he cannot do it. He grounds out to short, and the Diamondbacks do get the win in this game, 4-5, as they are kind of turning into our rival because they're kind of teetering around that, third place that we are. We're 65-81. They're 60-86. And now we enter a 4-game set on the road at Colorado. And then the rest of our season, Washington, Texas, the Angels on the road, and then the Dodgers to end the season. We do end up winning 3 of 4 from the Rockies, including 2 straight shutouts, 2-0 and 1-0. We then lose the series versus the Nationals as they take 2 of 3. We then go and face the Rangers, who are right now one of the top, I wouldn't say top, but they are one of the, teams that are kind of competing for that #1 pick going into next year, because there are quite a few teams that are under 500 here this season. And then our minor league seasons do end, and all 3 levels right now are below 500, and that's kind of something I want to address as well going down the stretch. Our minor league teams are just not doing that well in this series so far. We have 0 winning seasons, and I want to get guys that can hopefully, boost those minor league teams, because I think, that actually plays a part in progression also. Speaking of progression, here is Terrance Madlock towards the end of the season. I mean, he's just on a tear hitting the baseball. Here in a 9-0 deficit, he ends up breaking that shutout, and we do lose this game big, but Madlock just continues to hit the ball well, regardless of how our team is doing in the standings. But this is a steady improvement, and we are 3 games away from the end of season number 3, well out of the playoff, facing the division-leading Dodgers, who have won the last 3 World Series to date. And I'm going to give a start to Miracle Macklin here. I ended up moving him up at the September call-ups. We moved him up, I believe, last year. He did okay, but I want to give him another opportunity. We do need another lefty in the rotation, and maybe Macklin can fill that in, but I do want to at least see what he can do, because there's nothing that is guaranteed for him. So here he will get the final start of the season, at least the final full game start of the season. You can just see his last 2 starts, pitching pretty good, no earned runs allowed, and his whip is below 1, so that is really, really good. So here we go, facing Shohei Ohtani on the mound. In MLB The Show, he always seems to be a healthy starting pitcher, and obviously in real life, hasn't done that in quite a while. So we'll see if we can get a big victory versus, the favorites for the World Series this year. So here is Ahmed Rosario to the plate now to lead it off here for the Swarm, and that one will be low in the dirt, and then another one low for a ball 4. That brings up Fritz De La Cruz hitting in that 2 spot today. Outside splitter, and that one is a ball 4 as well. So 2 straight walks to open this game. Madlock going to continue to hit well this year, and that one is going to be a high cutter way out of the zone. So bases loaded, no outs here in the top of the first inning. Ben Rice to the plate, and he's been getting the starts at first base to end the season, and he gets a sweeper up in the zone. And that one could have been a strike, swing or miss or not. But here is Luis Lara. This one is hit down the right field line. It gets through the infield, and it will score 2. And we at least get 1 run in that first inning of work here. And Luis Lara really, I think, making his case to be a starter in the outfield come next year as well. Alek Thomas, probably his worst statistical year, hitting .227 here in Season 3 after hitting .264, I believe, a year ago. But here is Justin Thompson, only 2 runs doing here in the first inning as he can't catch up to that low fastball. Now let's talk Miracle Macklin on the mound. I think one thing that he has going for him is that he does generate a lot of strikeouts. However, his walks per 9 aren't the greatest, and his hits per 9 aren't the greatest, and that really does hurt him in sim. And it's maybe the main thing holding him back, to be honest, from being a MLB level pitcher. If we can develop those skills, now he is 27, so a bit older, he could turn into something. But seeing that he is older, I don't know how much more development he has to do. He's really just going to have to outperform his potential at this point, but I do want to give him opportunities. But here he does walk Teoscar Hernandez to load up the bases, so he's in trouble right away. 1 out, bases loaded, and Will Smith comes to the plate, but a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, he can't catch up, as that brings up Andy Pages to the plate. 1-2 pitch, another swing and miss at a high fastball. That one was out of the zone, and Macklin at least fights out of this situation here. And, not a bad inning, up and down, but we do get out of it unscathed. Bottom 2 now is that brings up Tommy Edman to the plate. One of the more underrated players on this Dodgers roster. He hits one to left center. That gets to the wall. Alek Thomas comes up throwing, and it will score the runner from first, and it is a 2-1 lead here for Salt Lake City at this point. If we really want to know what we have to chase, I mean, this is kind of an important series because I want to know if we can compete. Even if there are losses, are they close losses? Are there blowouts? This is the team that we are looking up to, and I don't know if winning the division is anywhere close to now, but I at least want to know that we are competitive as we see Macklin does get Pages to strike out for the second time today. Emmanuel Rivera to the plate in the 4th inning, and Macklin throws a fastball right down the middle and injures his groin. So I was hoping to focus on him the entire game, but we can't even do that because he comes out, and we do bring in Emerson Hancock, who does get us out of the 4th inning. But that sucks for Macklin because when we get him the opportunities, I do want him to take advantage, but he gets injured, through this game. Bottom 9 now, Mariano Casto in for another save this year. He has been great for us. I'm surprised he hasn't been in the Rookie of the Year discussions, but here is Ohtani deep to center field. How many times have we seen this before? The relay through the plate will not be in time as Mookie Betts makes it in safely, and Ohtani blows the save here for Casto as we move on to the top of the 12th inning. Here is Terrance Madlock now with that extra base runner here in the extra innings frame, and this one is hit to right center, and Madlock continues to be our MVP this year. He undoubtedly is our best player on the roster at this point. He's just tearing the cover off the ball. On to the bottom of the 12th, and Dennis Santana comes in to get us the win in this one. And the Swarm do win one of their final 3 games on the season. Madlock comes through, and he's the hero late. We only get 4 hits this entire game, and the Dodgers get 13 and end up losing that game. They probably have their sights set on the playoffs anyway. Their focus is probably not with this final series because here we are up 5-0 again. This time Estaban Calzado going the length of this game here in the bottom of the 9th inning. He gives up a single that time to left field, looking for the complete game shutout, and the manager has seen enough. He pulls him in the 9th inning. We do bring in Julian Aguirre, and that will end Calzado's day, but we do end up with the win in this one as Calzado goes 8 1/3, 9 strikeouts, only 2 walks. One of the most underrated things that Calzado does, though, is he does not walk many batters. So we end up winning the final 2 out of 3 to end the season and end up with a 72-90 record, which is our best record to date here in this series. That is a 8-game improvement from a season ago. 72-90. I'm very, very happy with the progression of this team. We are still kind of a ways out, though. We were 13 games back from a wild card spot. So I think that kind of shows the improvements that we have to make, and we will talk about those improvements as we recap this season. Now, one thing about this team is that every year I kind of set out to improve something in a dramatic way, and this year was really pitching. I really wanted our pitching to be really, really sound, but we do get the Rookie of the Year in Terrance Madlock. Now, let's take a closer look at Madlock because he actually naturally rose up to a 81 B potential off of the play that he's had, down the stretch. And now he's at 79 overall. And now his at least floor at the current moment is 81. But because he won Rookie of the Year, I was planning on doing it anyway. And I do it every year, by the way. I'm giving him a +5 potential boost. So that puts him from a 78 C up to a 81 overall B based on the game just naturally progressing him, and then up to now a 86 overall B potential. I think he's our franchise cornerstone, to be honest with you, and I'm just very, very happy with everything that he's done this year. Then obviously Christian Moore in the AL will get a +5 in potential as well. He didn't have quite the season that Madlock just had. How about the Brewers, though? They actually get the MVP in Brent Rooker. They also get the Hank Award winner in Brett Rooker, and then also the Cy Young winner in their starting pitcher, Freddie Peralta. So they are absolutely killing it right now. They look like they could be one of the teams to look out for a World Series to dethrone the Dodgers. But team stat wise, we were 30th in batting average, and it seems like we have regressed in this category. So even getting better record wise, we got worse at the plate. But Terrance Madlock was pretty much, I wouldn't say all of our offense, but he was a good majority of it. Ben Rice contributed too. He hit 27 home runs. That led the team. Madlock was second with 22. But I definitely do want to see that consistency from Rice. I think if he gets there, I think we're just a much better offensive team. Obviously, shortstop was a big concern for us. We had, I think, 3 guys who hit below 220 at shortstop. That's never good. And then hits allowed, though. This was the big improvement we had going into this year. We signed Brandon Woodruff, and it was a dramatic improvement. We were 11th in hits allowed. We were top 15 in ERA. We were top 15 in, I think it was walks. We were top 15. Then we were top 22 in strikeouts. So a really good improvement there. So let's go position by position and just talk about what we're looking at, going into the offseason and what we're thinking. Justin Thompson Jr. ended up with a 222 average. He's a good player. Now, I think he might need some help before we see Gonzalez be ready. And I think that, Luis Torrens, to me, isn't good enough. I think seeing him one season hitting 168, that's just not great. Yes, he was hurt, and that may have contributed to it. But, these are awful numbers. Like, even when he was coming in and pinch hitting, he was not doing anything. So I could be looking to move off of that contract just to free some additional money up to go after something else. So that's something to keep your eye out for. Fritz De La Cruz, he didn't hit great since we acquired him, but I do still have high hopes for him. He obviously had 2 good seasons before we acquired him, so I still expect him to be, a first baseman, at least in a platoon role. Ryan O'Hearn is going to be a free agent. I do want to sign him to an extension, hopefully 1 year, just 1 year before we get another DH in, or maybe I'll take a 2-year as well. We'll see what he's going to be asking for. But Ben Rice is probably going to be our first baseman versus right-handers going into next year. I think just his home run potential is way too much to pass up on. Like, I don't want to throw away 27 home runs just because he doesn't hit for high average. If anything, at the least, he's a DH in this lineup. In the middle infield, it gets very interesting because Ahmed Rosario, I liked him, but then when I looked at his numbers, I see that he actually wasn't that great. Back-to-back 254 years for him, and I was expecting him to steal a bunch of bases, and he ended up having 14 stolen bases this year. And I was expecting him to have like 25 when we signed him. And having a $6.4 million contract, I just don't think 254 is good enough for me with an on-base percentage around 300. I need something just a lot better. The Oswald Peraza experiment was an epic failure. He's definitely not going to be around next year. I tried him for 1 year. Probably not going to happen. Andrew Monasterio, I'm not high on him right at this point. He was coming off a 195 season and only hit 227. We need a lot of help in the middle of this infield. Weston Wilson could potentially play second or short if we find a better replacement third baseman. Now, he didn't have the greatest year. He had a negative WAR, but I don't think he's like the problem. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think that maybe he's replaceable if something's better. But I think that right now, because his contract is so low, he's only getting paid a little over $1 million, I think that's kind of a bargain at this point. We all know what Madlock did. He's in no position to lose left field at all. I don't even think I can see him moving to DH. I think he's got some good fielding attributes. Even as a rookie, I think he's going to improve there. Alek Thomas, though, going into the last year of a 3-year extension back in season 1, going into next season, he's just an interesting name to keep your eye on, because when he hits free agency, he's definitely going to probably demand $15 million a year, at least based off what I've seen in this game. Usually guys that hit free agency, especially in their mid-20s, end up commanding at least $15 million. So maybe we have to start looking for a replacement in center field. Is Luis Lara that replacement? You know, he had a decent season this year. Remember, he's only 22 years old. I think he can get a lot better. And I just look at the numbers between Lara and Thomas. Thomas did have a 2 WAR, which isn't like amazing, but it actually is much better than a lot of guys on our roster as it stands today. Brandon Woodruff definitely made an impact on our team. Obviously, the numbers weren't amazing like they were last year, but I think he definitely made an impact on this rotation. Elijah Vaughn, when we moved him up, made an impact as well. And he had 5 quality starts, which was actually really good. And I would say that, you know, going into next year, I think he could have a spot as one of our lefties in the rotation. But we're going to have to make a decision on Miracle Macklin. Is he going to contribute? I'm not sure. But Estaban Calzado threw his name into the ring for Rookie of the Year probably the last 2 months. And he progressed this season from, I believe he started at a 77, and now he's up to 80 overall. Pretty good season from him in his rookie year. I'm very, very happy about his progress, and he's going to continue to get better as well. I believe his potential is 86, so he's got a lot of room to grow still. Johnny Hood had a very good year also. I'm not sure why his stamina went down 1, but you see the rest of his ratings actually went up quite a bit. He's a very good player to me, and I think that he's going to be a guy that I do still have in this rotation going into next year. Only 11 quality starts, but I think he'll get better from here. He had a 2.6 WAR, so not a bad rookie year from him either. Fielding independent pitching was 383, which is actually a pretty good, you know, mark there. Now, our top 100 prospects, we have 3 of them. Enrique Reyes is still at number 2. Oliver Gonzalez is maybe going to be ready for the majors next year. He's at number 28. But then we have to keep going down the list here at 58. Calvin Almquist is still a top 100 prospect. And I don't believe we have any more. I think that's just the 3 top 100s. I believe currently we have the number 5 rated farm system in the MLB. Sometimes you get that, you know, news flash across when you look at, you know, the game storylines. I believe I saw 5 there. But here are our top 20 prospects, and we have some interesting names here, and we will start to add more as our draft classes get added to this list. But I think we could be in line to make a trade to acquire a good talent if we don't see anything that we like in free agency, or, you know, we move some guys up and give them some chances in spring training to make the MLB roster. I think the goal next year is really to compete for a wild card spot, and I do want to make the playoffs now in this series going forward, so it's going to be all about winning now. I obviously don't want to mortgage the future, but that's definitely a priority for us in this series now that we have 3 years of rebuilding under our belt. So next episode will be the off season. I'm excited for that, so you don't want to miss it. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.